Welcome to the channel. So today I'm making tray baked barbecue ribs. So for this particular recipe from the Malat range of products, I'm using their Carolina pork rub. If you don't have access to the Malat range of products, then just try and get hold of a really decent barbecue dry rub. One that has got a little bit of brown sugar in it if you can. So this is a Carolina style recipe for the ribs. It's absolutely delicious. I'm going to be using our homemade pizza oven to actually cook these ribs. It just gives a different flavour. Of course, you don't have to have a pizza oven for this particular recipe. You can tray bake these ribs in a standard domestic oven, or you could even place them onto the barbecue. So I'll give a full list of ingredients at the end of the video. Let's have a look at those ingredients now and anything else we're going to need for today. So a really simple recipe list for this particular dish. I've got some pork ribs. I'm going to be using about a tablespoon of Malat Carolina pork rub, or whichever barbecue dry rub you're using. If the barbecue rub you're using hasn't got any sugar in it, then add about a teaspoon of brown sugar. I'm going to be using about 3 tablespoons of tomato ketchup, 3 tablespoons of honey, and a few dashes of Worcester sauce or Worcestershire sauce. So first thing to do is I've mixed all of the marinade ingredients together. I'm now going to cut the ribs into singles, mix them into the marinade, cover with cling film or food wrap, and place into the fridge for about an hour. Okay, so that's our ribs coated. As I said, cover with cling film, into the fridge for an hour. What I forgot to mention is the restaurant, the Malat customer restaurant I got this from, this recipe, they also do a second version with chili flakes in, just to add a little bit of heat, and they put that as a separate item on the menu. So if you like a bit of heat with your ribs, of course you can add about half a teaspoon of chili flakes. So while those ribs are marinating in the fridge, just want to discuss the various cooking methods for this dish. So you can place these ribs onto the barbecue and cook them on there. You can place them into a standard oven in the kitchen, onto a tray, uncovered, and cook obviously until they're done. Just turn them every 15 or 20 minutes. If you've got any basting sauce left, baste the ribs from time to time. Just make sure that your last basting is no less than 15 minutes before the end of the cooking time, just to make sure that basting sauce actually cooks through, because it will have some raw juices off the pork as you baste through that cooking period. I'm going to be using the pizza oven. I'm actually going to be using charcoal for the heat source. So I'm going to use restaurant charcoal, which much larger pieces, and the reason for not using hardwood, which is what I would normally use, is we want the intensity of the heat to be lower. I want to cook these ribs over a longer period of time without them obviously charring too much. So I'm going to be using, as I said, charcoal. I'm going to place it into a horseshoe shape, and the tray will sit in the centre of that. It's not a case that we want to heat the pizza oven up to a stage where we could comfortably cook pizzas in there. We want a fairly moderate heat, but we want a steady heat as well, and it's actually the smokiness of the charcoal that gives this dish the unique flavour. So while the chicken is marinating in the fridge, it's time to prepare the charcoal for the actual pizza oven. So the initial charcoal I've had in a chimney starter, so that's doing well. I'm going to be placing that into the oven now, put more fresh charcoal over the top, and then after about 15 minutes we'll create that horseshoe effect inside the dome of the oven. I just use an old garden hoe to push the fire back in the pizza oven. And I'm going to be putting some larger pieces on top of that coal. And as I said, we'll leave this now for about 15 minutes. This restaurant charcoal in the blue bag is absolutely ideal for pizza ovens. As I said, I normally use hardwood, but that would the intensity of the heat would be too much. Okay, so let me show you this. I don't know if you can see this very well, but in the pizza oven, the coals are arranged in almost like a horseshoe, and our tray is going to sit right in the middle there. So we've placed our ribs into a oven-proof tray. I've oiled the bottom so that the ribs don't stick. As I said, they're going into that horseshoe of charcoal, and every 5 or 10 minutes I'm just going to turn the tray around until it's cooked. Right, so these ribs are done. The smell is absolutely incredible. It's like your favourite char-grilled restaurant. So these ribs have taken about 40 minutes, but obviously that's in this oven with this fuel type. So there you go, delicious tray-baked barbecue ribs. Again, being done in the pizza oven just adds another dimension to the flavour. Please subscribe to the channel, and as usual, if you've enjoyed this particular video, hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.